Before we get into this, I'm just going to show a quick P8 run of Worldstone Keep. Not all of it, just a bit to show you how this works. So this is the Sorceress. We got some souls, but no problem. P8, we can just go in and kill him. Notice how tanky we are. We can just kind of telestomp stuff. And we're just using fireballs, but we've also got the meteor handy. We also have hydras handy in case we want to use them. So yeah, again, this is player's 8. And stuff just falls over pretty quickly and pretty safely, even the souls. You might notice some things about this that cause us to be tanky, but I'll go over all this next. Here's some souls. Oh, we have quite a bit of souls. It's hurting a bit to get hit by those, so let's just stand back, put our hydras out, and let the hydras clean them up. Very safe. I don't have to telestomp them like I would if I were a Nova Sorceress. Yeah, I think that's enough to show it. Let's get into it now. I've never done this before, so let's see how well I do at explaining all of this. Basically, I wanted to create the strongest sorceress I possibly could. This is coming from playing a sorceress that is a Infinity Nova sorceress that is very strong. Basically, I like the idea of that character because it can take out a lot of content in the game. You can be very tanky, and you can just go around telestomping things and not worry about dying or even worry about chugging potions so much. So I like that kind of gameplay, but the Nova Sorceress does have some drawbacks. Essentially, with the Nova Sorceress, you do really good damage in very large groups of enemies, but the single target damage is kind of lacking, and um, it's just not very good to have to telestomp to kill things sometimes as well. Like for instance, if there's a huge group of souls and you're just telestomping into them to kill them, and well, they're going to kill you too. Um, so I wanted to theory craft a sorceress that had all the benefits of a Nova Sorceress. So things like using energy shield and the tankiness of that. Um, and I also wanted it to be having fewer drawbacks. So primarily, the single target damage needed to be stronger, and it needed to be able to be more versatile with how it did damage. And particularly, I wanted to create a sorceress that could easily take out Ubers, which this can. So what this sorceress is it's a fireball meteor sorceress, but also has Hydra built into it as well. But unlike a normal fireball meteor sorceress, it is using energy shield. But how do we do that? Well, uh, if you look at our spells, we have nothing in cold, but I'll explain why there's nothing in cold later. In lightning, we only have telekinesis and teleport. You see, we have maxed out telekinesis. And why do we do this? We don't have energy shield. Well, I'll explain that too. And then in our fire skills, we have basically maxed out. I'm like one off from maxing this one out, but that's just this particular character I'm running. Um, but basically all the synergies for Meteor and Fireball are maxed out except for Inferno. Most people tend to put, once they finish out maxing all this stuff, points into Inferno, but it's kind of pointless because if you look at it, Inferno gives 3% average fire damage per second. So that's on the burning portion of Meteor. So ultimately, you're just getting a 60% stronger burn by maxing out Inferno here, which isn't really important at all. So we can take those points, those 20 points we would have spent here, and just put it into telekinesis. And that lets us use energy shield. Now, granted, it's a 1-point energy shield, but just if I show you, I'll explain now why that works. So we're using a call to arms on swap, and that's a 3 to energy shield, 1 to chilling armor staff call to arms. So that gives us the ability to spec into energy shield without having to go down the tree to get to it and without having to put any points in it. So this saves us effectively 4 points to get a single point energy shield. Now, you might be thinking, well, what am I going to do with a 1-point energy shield? It's only blocking 72% once you do call to arms of the damage. But here's the thing about this sorceress. This sorceress also uses Phoenix. And because the sorceress uses Phoenix, basically the partial energy shield we're getting is actually a good thing. Because what is going to happen is you're going to, when you take damage, lose mana, you're going to lose life, and then the Phoenix is going to restore mana and life. If we had a full energy shield, it would only drain our mana, not our life. And Phoenix, when it refreshes our mana and life, would only refresh the mana and not the life, and we'd be wasting all of the life regeneration we could be getting. By effectively having a partial energy shield and having both our mana and life go down, what we're trying to do is just basically have them go down at a similar rate. Perhaps mana goes down a little bit faster than life, and then they both get restored by the Phoenix. This works really well to make you nice and tanky without the drawback of, well, my life's going down, I got a potion, because you're wearing Phoenix to take care of that. Also, of course, we're running a prayer merc to help with that, but I'll get into that as well. But before I close out the skill tree, I just wanted to mention, so I did put 1 point into Hydra. At first I thought, like, uh, if we were to maybe not max telekinesis and do Hydra instead, what would that be like? But of course that would not let us use energy shield and break the whole purpose of this. But I do like having Hydra, right? But I discovered that if you just put 1 point into Hydra and you get, all the extra points from your gear, Hydra actually does decent damage, quite a lot. Granted, this is maybe like 50% of what it could be doing, perhaps even less if you max it out. But if you max it out, you need to put 20 points in it. And if you don't, you need to put 1 point in it. And the amount of damage it does for 1 point is ridiculous. Um, so let me just explain also then the strategy behind the gear. So there's different ways of putting this gear together, and that's kind of also what's a strong point of this sorceress, because you have a lot of versatility with your gear. If you were to run, let's say, like a Nova sorceress, you'd have to wield the infinity, and that's it. Um, because you wouldn't want to, put all the points into strength, for instance, to wear a monarch shield if you're just going to wear infinity. That doesn't really make sense. Um, so you'd have to respec. What I tried to do with this sorceress is make it so that you could swap gear around to all kinds of configurations without respecking. So also what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure we have enough fire penetration to effectively deal damage to fire immunes. So essentially what we're seeing here is in our stats, we make sure to get at least the 105 cast rate breakpoint, and we try to get a bunch of enemy fire resistance negative. So right here in this configuration, which is the standard configuration I do, it's 58. Note, I should have said this before, but all of this is very, very end game gear. Like, there's some GG stuff in here. I'll go over the gear and I'll tell you where you could maybe replace GG stuff with less GG stuff, but even still, it's very expensive gear. This is something that, like, you would work towards in the very, very, very end game, if anything. So let me explain the gear. You see we're running a Phoenix War Scepter. You could go with a Phoenix Shield as well. There's another configuration that does that, but let me show this one first. We're running, this is one of the GG gear items. It's a 2-socket, 20% faster cast rate, 2 to Sorceress skills, coronet. It also has some energy. It has faster run walk. Some of this stuff you can, get away with not having. The key here is 2 to skills, 20 faster cast rate, and the 2 sockets to give us that uh, uh, 2 sockets to work with for fire facets. And you can see we're doing -10 enemy fire resistance, +10 fire skill damage. And you might be thinking, well, why don't we have a flickering flame here? That'll give us 3 fire skills, and it'll give us -15. Well, the reason we don't have a flickering flame here is the 20% faster cast rate. It's just so expensive to not have that here to get your 105 breakpoint. And you might also be thinking, well, wait a minute, what about my fire resist? If I'm running a Sunder Charm, which of course I am, I'm going to have crazy negative fire resist. Turns out that doesn't matter either. As long as you're wearing Phoenix, you might notice the fire absorb on Phoenix. You're not going to be taking pretty much any fire damage, even from big hits. You're going to absorb between this and your Viper Magi. And there's other ways we can increase that as well as part of the gear swaps we can do. So the negative fire resist is not a problem at all. It's the least of your problems with taking damage. In fact, stuff that hits you with fire damage is more likely to heal you than hurt you. Though of course it will still make your mana go down, but that has nothing to do with your resists. So yeah, this is one of the GG gear options. If you can't get this, which it's very hard to get, you can use a Griffins, and with a Griffins just socket it with one of the facets. Still, of course, that's pretty expensive, but it's not GG, so at least it's attainable without going crazy. And that also gives you 5% more faster cast rate to work with if you were to do it that way. The next GG item on here, I'll just get them over with, is the amulet. You want a 2 to Sorc skills, 20% faster cast rate amulet. Other stats on this is up to you. This just happens to be one I put together here. This is of course a hero edited character just because I wanted to show all this off. You don't have to have this. If you have a Griffins, then this would be 15% faster cast rate, or you can get around it with, instead of using Stone of Jordans, you would use 10% cast rate rings to fill in there. But of course, Stone of Jordans are best because this is an energy shield build and we want that increase to maximum mana, and the skills are nice as well. We're running a Skin of the Viper Magi. What's important here, of course, is the faster cast rate. We're trying to make that breakpoint, and because we're running Phoenix, we don't get a nice cast rate item in here. I've socketed this with a Mal rune. The reason for that is most of the damage we'll be taking from like smaller hits is going to be magic damage, and we want to get rid of that because we're also running a shield with high block rate. So this is another one of those GG items. Jeweler's Monarch of Deflecting, so a high block rate shield where we get increased chance of blocking, a faster block rate, and it's full of facets to give us -20 + 20, right? And we are putting points into dexterity. You can see we get a 75% block rate. Now the reason we do this is because it makes you very, very tanky. Most people ignore this and just put points into energy shield, which can be valid, but I've discovered that if you really want to do stuff like Ubers, having this instead of here, instead of energy into dexterity is very helpful. And it doesn't really give you all that much more energy. I mean, it kind of gives you a bunch, but you're talking about 75% chance to block. So only 25% of things that would have hit you from physical damage that are not spells are hitting you. This includes projectiles as well that have physical damage components in them, at least most of them. So, I mean, this just does make you very tanky. It prevents you from taking hits. It prevents your energy from going down. It's just really nice, and it allows you to effectively tank the Ubers as well. Um, so that's why we're using that. Um, we are using a Mage Fist, of course, for the faster cast rate. 2 Stone of Jordans, as I mentioned. Arachnid Mech for the faster cast rate and the skills, of course. Oh yeah, we get 1 fire skills here too. Sandstorm Trek for the faster hit recovery, the faster run walk, and the poison resist, since of course an energy shield build still takes poison damage. We've got a bunch of fire skillers, we got some life ones and some faster hit recovery ones. Enough to get to our 60 breakpoint we should have. Yeah, 60 faster hit recovery breakpoint. We got a Geeds because why not? You'd like to have that, right? And Sunder Charm, we got our standard Torch Annie, and it's 20 to life, 17 to mana charms, and then a couple resistance charms. I don't even really need the resistance charms, to be honest, but you could keep going with these. I just kind of put this together. Granted, these are of course very GG as well, but you know, you can get by with less. So this is what I would consider the just the standard version of this, but like I said, you can swap it around. So some alternate options, if you really want to go super tanky, just throw in a Gurks. This is essentially the swap I make when I want to do Ubers. Um, uh, I might also swap the Merc. Oh, I didn't go over the Merc. Okay, let's go over the Merc. We got a Cure helmet, Chains of Honor for the Life Leech mainly to work with the Cure, and it's a Prayer Merc, of course. So these two give us basically, uh, well, the Cure plus the Prayer gives us the double Prayer. So instead of heals 25, you'll see heals 50. If we were to have an insight in here, it would be 75 because the auras all stack, if you don't already know. We're doing an infinity just because it's a bunch more damage, and really you don't need the insight because the Phoenix Shield is helping you out. If I were to do Ubers, I might switch this for an insight just to have more mana regeneration, but it's not totally necessary. Your Merc can even die in Ubers, and it doesn't really matter, so not the biggest deal either way. But yeah, so I swap out the Gurks for Ubers, or if I just want to be tankier, because basically this gives us more resist, more damage reduction, um, and will take care of, you know, more magic hits, especially, but also some physical hits. So you see damage reduced goes to 23, magic damage reduced goes to 38. If I want to do full damage, as much damage as I possibly can, then we're going to swap a Phoenix Shield and a gemmed crystal sword with 6 facets. So that gives us negative 30 plus 30, and with the shield that gives us the minus 28. And yeah, I didn't mention this, but yeah, Phoenix as a fire character, it gives you the minus 28 fire resistance. So it actually feels really good to wear, and it's your highest damage option because negative fire resistance or just negative any resistance is massive. So here we have minus 68 to fire resistance. You can actually get more if you put in a Viper Magi that has a facet in it as well. You can get all the way to 73. And you know, if you don't want to be quite as tanky, but you're still pretty tanky because you still have uh, a 50% block rate with the shield, and you're still using energy shield. It's actually quite tanky still. It's just less tanky and more damage. And we can go over what that looks like in the planner. So here you can see basically the different options. So the JMod damage, and this is off of a Venom Lord, which we have immunity to, or it has immunity to us, so it's fire immune. With the JMod, we're doing 41,000 damage a second with Fireball alone. If we were to add Meteor on top of that, that's 75,000. If we were to add Hydra on top of that, that's 88,000. This is just a ridiculous amount of damage, and this is just the the mid-tanky version. Like, let's look at the max damage version. Now it goes up to that. So this is just crazy damage. Now, granted, you're not going to be doing all that damage all the time. If something dies too quickly, you're not going to have your full Hydras out. You're not going to have your Meteor spamming on it. But against things like Ubers, this is just insane. This is where we get all our damage to kill Ubers. And I'll also mention that Meteor on Ubers, as long as Ubers are standing in the fire of Meteor, they won't regenerate. So you don't need open wounds or anything like that. You don't even need to do a sizable amount of burn damage with your Meteor. All they need to do is stand on it and be taking fire damage ticks, and they don't regenerate. So that's part of why a Meteor Sorceress is very strong at killing Ubers. So I mean, just look at this damage and compare it to a strong setup for a Nova Sorceress. A Nova Sorceress against, let's do a Stormcaster who's also has immunity to the Nova Sorceress. Her Nova is going to do 12,000 damage to the Stormcaster, like 13,000, let's say, 12,900. Whereas, again, to an immune monster, we're doing 50k damage. Granted, of course, this is a much larger radius, so if you're taking out a lot of monsters, it's going to do more damage because, multiply this by however many monsters it's hitting. But if you're telestomping stuff with Fireball, which you can do because you're so tanky, you can get right in the middle of packs, and your Fireball can hit a decent amount of them. And then you can clean up even larger ones using Meteor if you're on like Players 8 or something. Even if we were to go like the standard JMod version, which is much tankier because you get the 75 block rate, you're still doing a huge amount of damage. Even if we went with the Gurks version, you're still doing more damage. Venom Lord I still have on here. You're still doing more damage to immunes, much more damage than the Nova Sorceress would. Even if you went Insight, you're still doing much more damage. Like if you wanted to be as tanky as possible. So there's another version of this. I don't think I have it set up here because I was testing Ubers on this one. Yeah, I don't have it set up here. Oh no, I do. Spirit. No, I don't have. Okay, there's another. I'll just show it to you in the planner. There's another version of this where you can also go 200 FCR. And the 200 FCR version is just a couple simple swaps. You just swap in a Suicide Branch with +1 to all skills, 50% faster cast rate. I found this is actually more damage than using something like an Ashudas, because in Ashudas, in order to make it make sense, I would have had to swap out the coronet with the -10 for like a Griffins for the 25%. So it just makes more sense to use the 50% faster cast rate here, because otherwise you're either swapping that out or you're swapping out both your Stone of Jordans, which just doesn't feel great. Here we just swap out this and Spirit Shield instead of Phoenix, and one of the rings for faster cast rate. Granted, we lose the Phoenix here, so you'd only really want to use 200 FCR in situations where you're not in danger. So Countess runs where you just teleport down really fast, or even Andariel runs, and anything that's just not basically Stormcasters or dolls, because those are the two things that could potentially kill you if you're not careful. As long as an area doesn't have either of those things, you're kind of safe. You might need to chug a potion once or twice occasionally, but with the Prayer Merc, not even really, because the Prayer Merc will help you heal. So yeah, it's possible to even make that gear setup. So I mean, yeah, you can just clearly see this is much stronger on paper. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, there's also an MF version of this build. You might be complaining already, well, there's no MF in this. You can easily make this an MFer without sacrificing too much. So here's a Tal's MF version. To do this, we swap in Tau I. We have this socketed with an IST. We swap in Tau Armor. We have this also socketed with an IST. And we swap in Tau Belt. The 3 combo of these is enough to give us the bonuses of the 65 FCR, or I'm sorry, the 65 Magic Find, and some extra FCR, as well as the really nice part of it, the -15 enemy fire res on the orb. So that puts us at -46 fire resistance, which is still very nice. We do lose some skill points, so our fireball damage goes down quite a bit. But you know, it's a trade-off, and we're still doing plenty of damage. Um, so if you really want to go an MF version, you can see the MF on this is 313. Oh yeah, of course, War Travelers, you make that too. You won't be very resistant to poison either at this point, but depending on where you're running, that's not a big deal. And even if you run somewhere that has some poison mobs, the Prayer Merc helps out with that a lot and can help you to regenerate, so you don't take as much. And also, of course, the cleansing aura on the cure will get rid of the poison pretty quickly. Um, so yeah, I like to run this if I really want to have that magic find in there without sacrificing too much. Because you still do a decent amount of damage, you're still decently tanky. Of course, we have the Phoenix here to help us out with that as well. Um, but you have the magic find. Um, Personally, I don't often run this. I'd like to just do more damage or have more tankiness and just have the higher damage either way. But you can run this if magic find is important to you. It's also cheaper because you don't necessarily need to have like a crazy weapon in here. You can just run the 3 tile set. You don't even need Viper Magi or um, Arachnid. So you get away with a few more items you don't need. Oh yeah, we put in one of our Stone of Jordans also is a faster cast rate ring. Again, if you don't have the best gear, let's say you have Griffins here, and or like less in here, then you put another faster cast rate ring. Um, but yeah, I mean you can run this this way. Um, so yeah, is though this strong? Just in actual testing. So let's do this with our, let's do the JMod version. So this is like the standard way I would run it. Let's go to the Worldstone Keep. We're gonna buff. That's of course using our staff to get all the buffs we need without having to put points in them. And we just go in and we kill things. Stuff dies in like 1 or 2 hits. Very easy to kill things. You notice I'm taking a bunch of hits, but it doesn't matter. I'm tankier than my Merc at this point because I'm healing right back up. And yeah, you might think, okay, this doesn't look very impressive. And this is just, you know, it doesn't seem that tanky. It doesn't seem like it's doing all that much damage. Well, here's the thing. We are on players 8. And that's what players 8 look like, just face tanking all this stuff as a sorceress. Let's keep going. You can use Meteor whenever you feel like it. If you run into a pack that's really spread out, you can use your Hydras. Like, let's say you got a bunch of monsters that are running around and you just want to pick them off. You can also, if you do run into like a Souls pack that's around the corner and just very, very scary and would kill anybody because there's like 20 souls, you can just from around the corner put your Hydras and they kill the souls, you hang out from a distance and you're all good. This is too easy. Let's move on to the next level, see if it's any harder. Our Prayer Merc is healing us up through the poison. We do have max poison resistance, so that helps us out as well. We got these guys, a couple fireballs, they're dead. We got these guys, a couple fireballs, they're dead. And yeah, I mean, like a Nova Sorceress on players 8 isn't going to be killing stuff this fast. You have to static and then, you know, go for it. It's not quite as quick, at least in small contained packs like this. In very large packs, I guess it could be about similar, but note we're just so much more versatile with this build. And I mean, like, let's just let these guys hit us for a sec. Oh, okay, they died too quickly for me to have them hit us. Maybe let's let these guys hit us for a second. They do nothing to us. What about these guys? Come on, don't be afraid. Yeah, this is players 8, and I can just sit there and tank them. And granted, you know, if I sit there too long, I'm going to take damage and it's going to hurt because I need the Phoenix to regenerate. But you know, it's still extremely tanky. At players 8, I can just go in there and face tank. I'm going to be tankier than my Merc. Oh, also, you might want to keep your battle orders up. That's also part of the reason I was taking so much damage there. Let's try that again. Merc, go away. I want to tank this. Yeah, so I mean, this is players 8, and I'm just sitting here face tanking this stuff with no issue. So, you know, any normal stuff with this build, and this isn't even the tankiest version of the build. This is like the mid-range, still doing plenty of damage version that I usually run. The only things you're going to be afraid of here are souls and dolls. And frankly, the dolls are not that bad because you're going to be blocking most of the damage they do. And you can just like teleport away from them and cast fireballs on them. Whereas you kind of have to get up in them to telestomp on something like a Nova Sorceress. Granted, like if you do it just right, they're out of range from the Nova, but this is just more convenient. And then it's also safer because, like, let's say you do run into a crazy souls pack that's just going to kill anybody because there's so many of them. Again, around the corner, just use the Hydras, it kills them, and you're chill. Let's just move on to Baal. Again, this is players 8. This is just a complete joke in anything lower. So players 1 or I usually online play in players 2 because I got a second account that I just log into my games. But I mean, like, you can see here offline players 8, this is very comfortable. We're not dying. Let me set up my Hydras, get some fireballs and meteors out. And these things are just gonna die. And they're dead. Get some more meteors. Refresh our Hydras. Of course, they don't go on where I was putting my meteors, but it doesn't matter. Players 8, these things just melt. Maybe if I put my meteors up here. Let's do some Hydras. More meteors, fireballs. Again, they weren't quite on my meteors, but they still melted. I'm taking hits from this fire damage, notice. It is not hurting me at all, not my health. It just takes some of my mana, which regenerates very quickly. No issues. What about these guys? These guys do fire damage. Let's teleport right into them. Notice, see, they do a bunch of damage with their fire, but only to your mana, not to your life. And that's the Phoenix helping us with that. Chug a mana potion, why not? Now let's get the big guys, right? So they hit us, they hurt us, but not much. We're blocking most of their hits. Our Merc, on the other hand, is dying.
Thanks.
So again, we are tankier than the Merc, by far. Easy. Could have been a little bit nicer if the meteors were better placed and such, but I mean, still, the players 8 very easy. Let's go into Baal. So yeah, well, one thing, Baal will do that. That's not great, but let's just put our Hydras and start killing him with meteors and fireballs, and chug a couple potions to deal with that when that happens. Again, this is players 8 Baal, and this isn't the tankiest version either. You can go with the tankier, less damaging version, but it's not really necessary. And I notice I only have like 2 rows of potions, 1 for health, 1 for mana. The rest I just put here so I can get more charm slots. because I don't really need them. Like, we killed Baal, no problem. Granted, I did run out of potions and stuff. I could have played it a little better, but still, very easy, huge amount of damage. Uh, and that's just not something the Nova Sorceress is going to be able to do, especially considering the Blood Mana curse, which really hurts a Nova Sorceress. But Fireball is only 24 mana, which is half the mana of Nova. Granted, you get some more mana out of this and this when you use it, but they're happening much less frequently. So yeah, I mean that's the build. Screw it, let's do Ubers. The gear, I have Gurks in, my Vibrant Magi with the Marrow Walks to be sure that we can use Bone Prison, because that is very important. I'm going to chug some antidote potions. I already set these up.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna try doing this with just health and mana potions. Normally you would run Rejuvies, but it's possible to do it without it. It's just a little bit riskier, but let's try it. I do have some Rejuvies spare if we need them, but I like to not have to worry about that. Alright, I think we're all set. Let's go. Let's start with Andariel. Andariel might be the hardest one, but it just depends on whether or not our Merc dies. And the Blood Mana curse is always fun. You just die. I don't like you. Giving me Blood Mana curse. Fortunately, it's gone now. Oh yeah, we're running Insight and Change of Honor and Cure. Just maximum support Merc, basically. I should just be finding Andariel rather than killing these. There she is. I like to clear out the ads though if I can. Let's get our Hydras, and he died. But that's not unexpected. The Bone Prison is what lets us do this very easily. So we just do our Hydras, we do our Fireballs, we do our Meteor, and she dies. Pretty quick. I don't have teleport, so let me just, or town portal, so let me just teleport out. Let's go resurrect Hazard.
How may I be of
Restock our potions.
I am.
Let's go to Sands. Kill Duriel. Duriel should be very easy. Don't tank. You kind of don't want your Merc to tank because you're stronger than he is. He's just there for support. No, don't go off that way killing things though. What do I pay you for? Alright. That was pretty easy. Let's go get rid of this. Do I have 3 stock? No. Furnace. There's just a lot of ads here. I might just kill them all. Because sometimes having all these ads can make this a little dicey. I like a nice clear playing field. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's being nice. He's standing over there and letting us kill him. Isn't that just convenient? Yeah, if you get a good spot like this, you can just cheese him, kind of like you would with Mephisto. Or he might teleport on us, but that's not the biggest deal. Let's do our bone prison and kill him. Yeah, bone prison is just really great for this. It makes it quite easy. Now let's see about the Ubers themselves.
Hello.
Mephisto is probably the hardest Uber, but we'll try and be careful with them. Here we go. Do we need to do... Yeah, we're still fine. If I stand here, in theory, Mephisto should come. Come on. Am I too late? Oh, we don't have a lot of bone prisons left. I should have repaired. In fact, let me go do that quick.
At your service.
Come on, Mephisto. Mephisto is the hard one, so let's see how we do. Our Merc is dead. We're out of bone prisons. Let's put down some meteors and go back. I'm being extra careful because I'm using regular potions, not rejuvies. Let's get our Merc back.
Afternoon.
So he didn't heal much off of that. He, I think, was still burning. Get this in here, protect ourselves a little bit, and he's down. Good, good, good. Let's keep going. Who can we get next? You're both kind of there, huh? Let's get one of you. Got the real one. You gotta watch out when he does his mana drain move. Get him. Gotta watch out with the mana drain move. I don't have Rejuvi, so I gotta be careful. He's teleporting off of our fire, so we have to reapply it.
I need mana.
And he's down. Yeah, I'm being very careful because I'm not using Rejuvies.
Good afternoon.
Diablo, I think, should be easier. Do we need anything? Nah. Let's just refresh our marrow walks.
At your service.
And pre-buff again. And let's kill Diablo. And he killed our Merc. That's to be expected. the Ubers. No rejuvies. Little dicey, like you got to be careful, especially if you're not running rejuvies. And the
How may
Merc,
I
of
be of
course,
help?
died, and that just happens. It's possible for him not to die if you like keep him back. Um,
Ah, yeah.
it might be even better to run
What
like
is it?
a insight with like a Act 1 Merc maybe for this type of thing, just to maybe keep him alive, like out of the way of stuff. But I haven't done that. I've just been running this. So yeah, I mean, you can see with the Sorceress, you can run pretty much everything. Everything
Afternoon.
from players 8 to Ubers is pretty straightforward, not too difficult. Ubers are a little dicey, but you just have to be really careful, especially if you're not using rejuvies. Um, and that's it. I mean, that's the Sorceress. So, in conclusion, I wanted to make an alternative to the Nova Sorceress that was pretty much as tanky as her, but also did just way more damage, especially single target and boss damage. And I think I've effectively put that together with this build. I wanted it also to be versatile, much more versatile. So with gear swaps, you can do a tankier version, a more damaging version, or a 200 FCR version when you're like in no trouble of dying or don't run into many immunes. Um, and yeah, I mean, ultimately you get what I consider to be the strongest sorceress build you can put together. Um, yeah, uh, thank you for watching.